wish you all heartily welcome to Stockholm, to Sweden, and to our old Parliament building, which dates back to the beginning of this century. Since some years ago, it has become a tradition to celebrate the prize ceremony of the Right Livelihood Award in the Parliament, Riksdagen. We have a very strict policy concerning non-parliamentary arrangements in the Parliament building, but I would be very glad and proud to welcome the Right Livelihood Award Foundation as one of the very exclusive exceptions also in coming years. It is indeed an honor for me as speaker to receive so many distinguished and highly venerable guests from different parts of the world. It is also a special pleasure to welcome you to this hall, so rich in traditions and history. We are here assembled in the hall that until 1970, when Sweden abandoned the bicameral system, served as the second chamber of the Swedish Parliament. To me, it is a symbol of great significance that we may hold this prize ceremony right here in the heart and at the same time the cradle of Swedish democracy. In fact, this year we celebrate that 75 years have passed since Sweden got universal suffrage. In 1921, Swedish women for the first time got one of the fundamental human rights, the right to vote, thus being at last entrusted to take part in decision-making concerning their own lives, their children's lives, and the future of their own country. It was also after this historical and for the first time fully democratic election that 5 women became members of the Swedish Parliament, 1 of the first chamber and 4 of this second chamber. We are, of course, proud to have today the highest proportion of female members of Parliament in the world, 44%. But we are indeed also disturbed by the fact that still about 50% of the parliaments of the world have 10% or less female representation, and very few more than 20%. Being assembled here today is symbolic because the Right Livelihood Award Foundation stands in the front line in the fight for true democratic development. The Right Livelihood Award has, since it was introduced in 1980, honored and supported people from all over the world committed to work against arms race, poverty, human repression, and social injustice. That is, the fight for human rights, democracy, and human dignity. Through the years, the Right Livelihood Award has been a support to those who reject a short-term exploitation of the world's resources, human and natural, and who believe in a sustainable and holistic approach to the challenges of our time. That is a responsible development, where all resources are taken care of, managed well, and where every human being has the right to be unique. In your own words, the concept of the Right Livelihood Award, and thus its recipients, is to be responsible for the consequences of one's action, living lightly on the earth, taking no more than a fair share of its resources. That is a world where there is no place for provocative affluence, ethnic, religious violence, or other human and cultural degradation. We all share, in all countries and parts of the world, a cruel history of violence, oppression, and sufferings. In our world of today, we are still confronted with war, poverty, environmental catastrophes, and new forms of utterly inhuman ideas and violence. We need people who could furnish us with a glimpse of hope for the future, wise people who could inspire us through their work and visions. Through the Right Livelihood Award, we learn that the seemingly impossible may be possible. The recipients of the award of 1996 have all, each one of you, taught us this encouraging lesson. Confronted with the evil of our world, it would be natural for us to despair and to doubt our own capacity to make any difference, to contribute to a better future. The recipients of the Right Livelihood Award show us that there is another way. You may not seem strong. You may be poor. You may seem chanceless against oppression. Still, you have reached far beyond what we thought might be possible. To my opinion, the answers to the challenges of our time must be responsible action and cooperation on all levels, local, national, regional, and global. The aim of the Right Livelihood Award is to promote pathfinders, individuals and groups of people acting locally and together, thus mobilizing the competence, the talent, and the goodwill of all. This is not just wise, this is decisive in our common work for a better future. And in this work, we need all contribution. On the global level, we need a stronger, more efficient United Nations. Facing the 21st century, it is now time to see, too, that the commitments of the United Nations top summits during the last 10 years, from Rio to Vienna, will be put into real action. And Sweden may now and will now, as a member of the Security Council, stand in the front line and take active part in this important work. Still, if we should have any chance to succeed, everyone's responsibility and the fight of every single person on the local level is decisive. In this fight, the recipients of the Right Livelihood Award show us an outstanding example of what one single person, strengthened in cooperation with others, may achieve. Distinguished laureates, dear friends, you taught us that as long as there are good persons fighting for what they believe in, there is hope for the future. There is hope for a world of human dignity. On behalf of us all, thank you for what you have done so far. I am convinced that you will continue your fervent work and that you will make the best use of the Right Livelihood Award in your future work for the benefit of mankind. Congratulations, and once again, heartily welcome.
So if you wish to take photographs, this is your opportunity. Can we ask you, please not...
Among the many remarkable meetings which this award has brought about, the encounter between Sir George Trevelyan and Petra Kelly, who were joint recipients in 1982, stands out. The instant rapport was obvious, despite their dramatically different lives and backgrounds. Sir George inspired all who met him. He was a pioneer not only of adult education, but of the education of the adult spirit. He knew how to rekindle trust in the future and in ourselves. At the age of 89, he moved on, as he would have put it, earlier this year. Please join me in a minute of silence in gratitude for the life of Sir George Trevelyan. The Right Livelihood Award jury honors George Vithulkas for his outstanding contribution to the revival of homeopathic knowledge and for his tireless efforts in training homeopaths to the highest standards so that homeopathy can claim a place in science as an effective alternative to other medical schools and traditions. As director of the Indian School of Homeopathic Medicine, George Vithoulkas heads a team of 30 doctors who practice homeopathy while they study under his supervision. He has established homeopathy in Greece as a science respected by the medical profession and made his country one of the leading centers for homeopathy in the Western world. His books, Homeopathy, Medicine of the New Man, and The Science of Homeopathy, have been translated into 20 languages. In A New Model for Health and Disease, he sets out a new paradigm for the science of medicine, enumerating the various natural laws that govern the phenomena of health and disease. At present, George Vithoulkas is spending most of his time writing a new homeopathic Materia Medica Viva in 16 volumes, including all the contemporary knowledge of his own homeopathic experience from cases which are mostly taken from the center in Athens, which has treated over 150,000 cases. His work with homeopathic teachers now takes place at the new International Academy for Classical Homeopathy, established on the Greek island of Elonisos, the first building in the world erected ex novo for the teaching of classical homeopathy and designed as a prototype for such centers in other countries. Today, the use of homeopathy is spreading all over the world because it is in many cases more effective and cheaper than the alternatives. Numerous studies in medical literature confirm its value. Yet the medical establishment remains mostly opposed because homeopathic principles do not fit inside their worldview. They need to be reminded that the Hippocratic Oath does not say, "I shall only heal according to the principles of molecular biology." Through his practice, teaching, and institution building, George Vithoulkas has made the major contribution of his generation to the establishment, perception, and dissemination of homeopathy as a science that can make a substantial contribution to human health and welfare. It is with very great pleasure that I ask George Vithoulkas to accept the 1996 Right Livelihood Award.
Look here, hello.